In this unit, Unit 4, we are going to be relating two quantities, variable quantities. For example, in this particular scenario, you have these three containers, okay, and water is going to be slowly filling them up, okay, at the same steady rate. The volume is increasing, the amount of water is increasing, okay. What happens with the height of the water? Okay, well, as you can imagine, for narrower containers, the same amount of water will fill up a higher amount than if it's really wide. That same amount of water won't get it as high. Okay, and you can see this one's a little bit wider than this one. What we're trying to do is match the graph with it. Okay, so as the water's flowing in at the steady rate for each of these, you can imagine that this one is filling up more quickly because there's less area to fill before it starts to rise higher, okay? This one is going to be the widest one, so it'll be the slowest to fill. And this one will be filling, and then suddenly it'll start to slow down in terms of how much height it will go for the amount of water that's going in, because as it gets wider, that level goes up more slowly. You can imagine filling up a straw versus filling up a bathtub, right? Filling up a bathtub, the same amount of water will raise the level up slowly. And for a straw, it will raise it really fast, okay? So what's happening here, as the volume increases, what's happening to the height? Well, if the height is going up really slowly, that's going to be the wide one here, okay? Because the wide one will have a slow rise to its height water level. This second one right here, sorry, this will be rising really quickly as you fill water. And of course, as you can imagine, for this third container, it's going to be rising quickly when it's narrow, this part right here, and then as you get here, you can see that it's getting wider, so now the same amount of water isn't going to raise it as much, and it'll start to slow down the height as it changes, okay? This is just a conceptual way of seeing what we're going to be doing in this lesson, which is taking real-life situations and trying to make a representational graph out of it based on two pieces of information, two variable quantities. So starting out here, this is a graph that shows air being put into a balloon, and the volume, the total amount of air in the balloon, versus the time that goes by as this air is being added to the balloon. So the graph shows the volume of air in a balloon as you blow it up until it pops. What are the variables? Describe how the variables are related at various points of the graph. Well, how can you analyze the relationship? So if we read the title, all the titles, first of all, air in the balloon is the full title of the graph. And then we read the titles of the variable quantities, time as time goes by, and the volume as the volume increases, okay? The axis titles tell you what variables are related, so time and volume. And the graph itself represents the relationship as those variables change. So describe the variables, how they change at certain points. So the variables, of course, as it says on the axes, are time and volume. And the volume increases each time you blow, so, and then it stays constant as you pause to breathe. There's no air going into the balloon as you're breathing in, so that the time is still moving forward, but there's no increase in air, so the volume, it doesn't go up. Okay, then now, and here, when the balloon pops in the middle of the fourth blow, it immediately decreases straight down to zero, the volume in the balloon. Okay, so that's the idea. Try what these two examples here, and what are the variables, and describe how they are related at various points in the graph. So tables and graphs can both show you relationships between variables, and data from a table is often displayed in a graph so you can visually represent the numbers, okay? Let's take a look at what we're going to be dealing with in this problem. We're going to match a table and a graph. So this is the situation, because remember, we're relating all of this to real life situations, okay? A band allows fans to download its new video from its website. And the table shows the total number of downloads after 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and 4 days, which graph could represent the data shown in this table. So after day 1, they've got 346 downloads. After 2 days, they've got 1,000, little over 1,000 downloads. After 3 days, they're up to almost 3,500 downloads. And after 4 days, over 10,000 downloads. That's great. So as you can see, it's not a steady increase, right? After the first day, they went from obviously 0 when they first uploaded it to 346. They gained 346 in that day. Then from here to here, they went up by another like 600 something, almost 700. Then they went up by almost 2,400 something. And then they went up by, wow, almost 7,000. Okay, so you can see as the days go by, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, etc., the amount that it's growing is not a steady increase, but it's going whoosh, like that. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, here's what it says. You need to know what the relationship is. Okay, the relationship is the number of days that have gone by and the number of downloads. What you need is a graph that could represent it, and you're going to compare the pattern of changes. As I said, it's not a linear change. It's not going up by the same amount every day, because that would be like gain by that amount, gain the exact same amount, gain the exact same amount, right? And by the way, it's not slowing down. They didn't start downloading fast each day and then they got less downloads as days went by, right? And it's certainly not dropping. So in the table, the total number of downloads increases each day, and each increase is noticeably greater than the previous day. So the graph should rise from left to right, and each rise should be steeper than the previous rise. So the answer is B. You're going to try it now with this got it problem. All right, so in problem 2, you had the number of downloads, which was the vertical axis, and that depended on how many days have gone by, right? The days, which is on the horizontal axis, the days are going by independently of what's happening with the downloads, right? Days are just passing. That is independent of the number of downloads. So when one quantity depends on another, the number of total downloads depends on how much time has gone by, right? Then you show the independent quantity on the horizontal axis and the dependent quality on the vertical axis. So I've created here a little, axes of a graph, and the independent variable, typically it's x, it goes along the x-axis, is going to be some units, often things like days, or any time units. Let's just say time. Typically, time is going to be an independent variable because time just passes regardless of what's happening. You're not going to stop time and change time by the number of downloads. So time is just moving along independently, and they call that the independent variable, and that goes along the x-axis. And then whatever it is dependent on the amount of time that's gone by is going to be y. So if we were talking about the amount of water in a tub, well, if we turn on the tap, then time starts going by, and the volume of the water would be dependent on how much time has gone by. So you'd say, okay, if it's filling up at a steady rate, you might get something like this. As at the start of it, there's 0 in there, and then it's kind of climbing at a steady rate, climbing at a steady rate, climbing at a steady rate, because as the independent variable time goes by, the amount of volume of water in the tub goes up. So that's just an example. Let's try some other actual problems. All right, so in this situation, you are firing off a model rocket, and it's going to first rise quickly, and then as it burns out its fuel, it's going to kind of raise to its highest point and level out and stop, and then it'll begin to fall. And as it falls, it starts falling slowly and then more quickly. That's what things do as they fall. They pick up speed. And then eventually the chute's going to open, in which case it'll drift slowly back to Earth. What would a sketch of a graph of that look like? Well, we don't have the actual numbers of how high it goes or how long it takes, but a sketch could look like this, okay? Here at its zero height at time 0, time since we fired it, because we're just now firing it. As we fire it, the time starts going and it starts gaining in height. It's gaining in height, it's gaining in height, it's gaining in height, but then it runs out of fuel and it loses its momentum and levels off. Now it starts to fall. As you can see, it's starting to fall slowly, then it starts to fall more quickly. That means less time to go further negative distance, right? But then here the chute opens and then it begins to fall slowly to Earth until it reaches 0, a height of 0, meaning it's back to the Earth. And the situation's over, okay? Notice they've labeled each spot. It's rising quickly, you've reached this highest point, what's happening there? It stops rising, starts falling. Exactly at this point when the chute opens, it slows the speed down, and that's why you have from going a steep descent to a level descent like that, okay? That's the idea. Here's your situation. Suppose you start to swing yourself on a playground swing. You move back and forth and swing higher and higher in the air, okay? Then you slowly swing to a stop. What sketch of a graph could represent how your height from the ground might change over time? I'm going to actually talk this one out when we get to it, okay? Like once it's time to look at the answer. And so what would the sketch of that look like? And then also, if you jumped from the swing instead of slowly swinging to a stop, how would the graph change? Explain. Okay, give it a try. Honestly, try this because you're going to be surprised at what it actually looks like versus maybe what you sketched if you don't consider certain things. Imagine how high you are above the ground as you swing, swing back to the middle, swing back up in the other direction, swing back to the middle, swing back up. Okay, sketch it out and then see how well you did. This is a really great challenge. Okay, so here's the deal. A big important part of this is the fact that when you're on a swing, one, you're above the ground the whole time, right? You're probably a foot above the ground. And so that's why this line here, let me change this here. This line here is like a foot above the ground the whole time, right? But watch what's going on here, okay? You get a little bit of a height, but then you always go back down to 1 foot above the ground because you swing back to the center and you're back there. You get higher up, but then you swing back down to that 1 foot above the ground when your feet are right there on the ground in the middle, okay? Then you swing higher, swing back to the middle. You swing high as you're gonna go, swing back to the middle, back in the other direction, backwards, swing forwards, backwards, and then you eventually come to a stop. And notice that whole time, you always keep returning to about a foot above the ground, which is what your the seat of your swing is. Okay, did yours look like that? Because remember, you always have to get back down to that middle height, which is always about a foot. Okay, now the second part of it said, what would happen if you jumped off? Well, you might get to one of these high points and you could just jump off, in which case you go whoop, straight down to the ground. Decrease sharply straight to the ground. And in fact, then you would be all the way at the ground because the swing is not supporting you above the ground. And so your graph, if you jumped off, would be like, whoop, back down to 0. Okay, if you do the homework, which you obviously should, you should do as many of those problems as you possibly can and just try every different one that the program possibly offers you. And you might actually consider looking at the book problems on the resource page as well, because it's something that seems like it's pretty straightforward, but it's not as intuitive as you would think. And a lot of kids really struggle with this first lesson until they kind of get in the groove of it. Just visually representing things on a graph as a sketch. So spend a little bit of extra time and do these problems, as many of them as you can find in both Math Excel and in the resource page book problems. And you'll be glad you did later as you get more comfortable and start to understand what's going on with these. Anyway, try these lesson check problems. Good luck.